Yo, what's up, dudes? I am finally back on with the video I've been trying to make for a long time. We are going to restring my Ibanez RG760. It has an original Ibanez Edge tremolo. And, it's licensed by Floyd Rose, so this would be applicable to a Floyd Rose. Pretty much anything with a floating trem, you could use this. You'll need your whammy bar installed. And, obviously you'll need some sort of a hex device to work the stuff out. And that's about it. I think I picked this up. This is an Allen Pal. I might have paid like $5 for this off of Amazon. I got a set of clips. I'm using the needle nose. Those were the closest ones, but they have a snip on it. Of course, I have a tuner. And just in case I need to adjust the claw, I have a Phillips head screwdriver. So this is a 1989 Ibanez RG760. This was sort of their midline model, maybe like sort of upper mid, something that sold around $7.99, maybe $6.99 on sale back in 1989. Which, back in 1989, $700 is probably around $1,400 today, maybe $1,500. So the first thing I like to do is sort of block the trem out. I'm going to take all the strings off. Some people don't like to do that. If you don't like it, you can just do one at a time. I want to clean it up a little bit, so I want all the strings off, and I want to be able to clean it. And, some people will say, it's not a good idea to take all the strings off. Don't worry about that. That's nonsense. So I have a little plush toy that my kids won at a claw game that they gave me. They're like, "You like football, Dad?" And so they gave me this little plush toy, and I like to use it just by stuffing it under this, back, and there it is. Now the bridge is sort of stuck there, and it's not going to go, and it's nice and soft, and it's not going to hurt my guitar, and it's really actually quite in there. I can actually lift the guitar with the, with the pressure. I want to make sure it's in there, and we're good to go. So the reason why I leave this in is sometimes I like to move the bridge forward to work the tuning bolts at the end, the lock bolts, not the tuning screws, but the lock bolts at the end. So got to have the whammy bar in it. And that's about it. So first thing we have to do, I can already see there's so few wraps up here this has definitely not been done since I got the guitar. For those of you who are asking, I paid very little money for this guitar. It's one of those things. This just happened again a little bit. A few of my friends know about it. Oh, if you're wondering about this is just a little plate I put together. I had a wall claw, and I just bolted on a piece of wood to give myself a little thing here. I don't have any really. I have one wall down here, but I wouldn't want to hang my guitar. I don't like that wall. Is just like plasterboard, right? It's sheetrock over aluminum stud. So I don't like that. I prefer, wooden walls when I'm going to be bolting stuff into it, unless you use whatever. I'm not going to be hanging the guitars up on the wall. So I said, I have this. I'll bolt it to a piece of wood, give it some stability, and now I have a little handy-dandy I'm missing one thing, string winder. I got a nice set of BlackSmith Strings here. If you can see those over here. Maybe. There. So these are packaging on these is so nice. These are a treated string. I met these guys out at the NAMM show, and they sent me a couple of packs to check out. They have AOT, anti-oxidation technology, and they're pretty cool. They have it's not a coating, it's more like a treatment. Right, so it's nothing that's going to like wear off or flake off or anything like that. If anything, I think the string will wear out before you have a problem with oxidation. And by wearing out, I mean like physically, you get pits, like these have little pits in them. So anyway, I had started doing this, and I realized, and I was recording, and I realized my audio wasn't working. So we're a good 25% in on this restring. I have a little plush toy I'm putting under here for the Floyd Rose, and we'll talk about setting this up a little bit. And I was trying to, you know, talk about the guitar itself. RG760. I picked this up for short money. But basically, all you missed was I took the clamps off, which if you own a Floyd Rose, you should be able to do that without watching a YouTube video. But I like to get, you know, all the strings off. I rarely change my strings one at a time. Very, very rarely. Only if I'm really trying to preserve it. You know, I really don't want to change all of the strings, so. But even that's pretty rare, because when one goes, it's sort of a sign that you need to restring the guitar. All right. So this was sort of an interesting buy. I got this off of Guitar Center, used for $279. You know, it was just one of those things where they had it listed wrong. They had it listed. I'm just going to wipe down this fretboard here, get a little bit of the grime off, and then I'll probably polish the frets just a hair with a little bit of guitar polish. We'll get into that in a second, but the bottom line is that it doesn't have too much grime. I don't feel the need to steel wool it, which is something that if it was really grimy, I'd break out like the, what's it, 4 O's, 4 zeros for steel wool. Like the finest they have. Problem with steel wool, though, is that you really have to either mask or set up a little separator from the magnets, or else you're sitting there with sticky tape trying to pull all the little pieces of steel wool that have flaked off and been stuck to the magnet. You're stuck trying to pull those off. And I always wind up getting a steel wool splinter. You ever get a steel wool splinter? I hate that. So annoying. All right, well, that's looking a little better. I don't think I have my... Oh, I do. I was going to say, I don't think I have the polish here. A little bit of polish. This is a GHS guitar gloss. I've been using this stuff for 20 years. And I'll put it up on the one over here. It's a little closer. Right there. Right there. Are you in here? No. I'd have to move this one just a hair. There we go. It's a little better. Let's pop this open. I don't apply it directly to the frets. This stuff is not really meant for wood. So I just put a dab. And I do mean a dab, just a tiny bit on the on here, and I'll even tap it in a little bit just so it's like impregnated in the cloth. And we'll start high and work low. But I find GHS in particular is a really good oxidation stripper, as you can see from the black that comes off of there. Yeah, works great. But I wouldn't leave it on your fingerboard too long. And you certainly wouldn't treat your fingerboard with it. In fact, I'm pretty sure they say, don't use this on natural wood. And I'd heed their warnings. There we go. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can just see the difference right here. It just really does polish and pull all that oxidation off. Okay? It's crazy. That's crazy. There we go. Again, I want to leave any traces. There you go. I think I'm up to about the 12th. So this one was listed for $299 as an RG760, which it's not, obviously. It's an RG760. But, you know, people don't know. They list it what they think it is rather than what they know it is. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that ain't no 570. Let me go check this out. So I called them up and, you know, asked a few questions about the features. Does it have a binding on the neck? The 5 Series wouldn't have a binding on the neck. Does it have the, you know, the shark tooth inlay? I think in Japan they call that the Himalaya inlay or the mountain inlay. And it was confirmed, a 700 series. This is just a tiny bit of mineral oil. I'll just put a couple of drops. I know some people hate mineral oil. I like it. Some people use lemon oil, which I used to use, but even lemon oil isn't really not the greatest. So I'm sticking with mineral oil. I know. It's not your choice, but that's okay. A lot of people said they used linseed oil, but see, I always thought that was the drying oil. In other words, it dries to a shell. And maybe that's what people want. They want it to seal the fretboard, but it feels to me like I'm finishing it then if I'm using that. Like using tongue oil, you know? It's like it's more than just a conditioning oil. It's actually a finish. All right, well, that looks a million times better than it did. Here we go. I still getting audio, right? Get me crazy. All right, let me just check these, see if they're loose a little bit. Oh, they're feeling good. Yep, all good. So the pickup on this is interesting. When it showed up, the pickup was humming and relatively thin for what a humbucker should be. And I said, well, that sounds like it's single coil. And I just took you can take a screwdriver and just tap the coils, and you'll really find out. Just rub it over the slug on either side, and you'll see whether or not it's live. A huge difference in sound when the coil is active and when the coil isn't active. Even on the inactive coil, you'll hear a little bit sympathetic from the other coil, which is attached to it, but it's not even close, right? You can definitely tell. So I realized one of the coils was dead. So I said, all right, let me see what this is. So before I can check the wiring, I have to see what brand it is. I have to know what manufacturer it is. So I pull it off, I turn it around the back, and I swear it was like finding treasure. It's a full shred, and it's wound by Maricela Juarez, the most famous winder over at Seymour Duncan. And I was like, yes! Totally vintage. It's the old handwritten one, you know, it's like beautiful. I could not believe it. I was, like I said, it's like finding treasure. So I said, now you watch. I'm going to open the back of this thing up, and it's going to be wired exactly like a DiMarzio, because all this dummy did was he pulled the wires, the same colored wires off. He says, there's only one wiring scheme, but of course there isn't. And what happens when you wire a DiMarzio, a Duncan like a DiMarzio? You get single coil. That is the result. So twisted the wrong pair together. He just completely isolates one of the coils, and boom, doesn't work. And all he has is a circuit going through one of the coils. So figured that out very quickly. Got my wiring diagram for Seymour Duncan. They have it right up on their website. Took a look at it. Very quickly figured it out within a matter of 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. 5 minutes to heat the soldering iron up, and 5 minutes to do the job. Screw the back on. I had it right back to full shred. Yes, that is. We'll give these BlackSmith Strings a try here. Again, I really like their packaging. You know, it's like from the iPhone school, right? The Beat school of packaging, where it's It's really thick and yeah, and it's so funny because a lot of people will say, well, what's the point? What's the point of having mixed packaging? It has nothing to do with it. But I think Apple and those other people would say it's an experience, right? You get something, it's like such a nice box. And then we have the, let me see if I can get a little break in this. These are so hard to tear. There it goes, the first time. You never get a grip on it. There we go. Right along the seam. Done. So a nice protective plastic, sleeve to keep the strings from oxidating while they're waiting to be sold and used. And then each string, I mean, no guessing game with this. Each string comes on its own separate card. Nice cardboard card. And they're marked pretty boldly as to which string it is. So we're going to start low and work our way high. I believe they're in the correct order. So I can just leave them here in a stack and work our way through. And I think the guy who makes the strings, he was joking with me. He says, these make wonderful coasters. And you can see how they would. It feels like it almost has a slightly plastic coating on the face, and then more of a rough, or maybe that's just I don't know, almost like a tiny bit of not a wax coating, but a tiny plastic coating on the top. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't know if you can see that. Throw that up there. Maybe right there. People can check it out. All right. That's easy enough. Sprawling. And then, some people are like, oh, run it through this way and you don't have to cut it, but the windings don't go all the way to the end. A lot of strings are made that way. They go about this far from the end. So if I'm cutting off anyway, I find it easy to run it through when I have the unwound end. So I'm going to take my snips and cut the ball end off. Put that in here and get it a little snug so it doesn't fall out. I finger, tightened it. And now I'll get my tool here. And again, this is why I need the bar, because I want to tilt this up, get a better angle. There we go. Maybe one more, just like that. And so this is a Floyd Rose. So there's a couple of schools of thought on Floyd Rose when you're restringing them. One is, why bother with a lot of windings up at the top? Because you're only gonna be clamping it down anyway. And, I like it. Let me just bring that back a hair. I go in, and I go back. I do it because, in case I break a string, I want to be able to loosen it down a hair. I actually probably could have got one more winding on that, but I'm happy with it. All right, let's try the next one. We'll do the fifth. Go. This day is flying by. Look at that. Check that. And a little squeaking in there. Could be the at one point the springs rub against something. I'll have to take a look. I don't think I've opened the back of this yet. Put that in there. There we go. You don't want to be too crazy, especially if you have good leverage. You don't want to go too crazy. because you could strip it, right? That's the last thing you want to do. And we'll bring it right about maybe right there. Bring this down and up. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to get quite a few more windings on this one. And that way, if I break a string, I can always just, you know, unclamp it from... If it breaks at the bridge, which 99% of the time they do, I will cut it, you know, loosen it, pull it down a little bit, tighten that, get it back in, loosen, wind it back up to pitch, and I'm good to go. I'll do a video to show how it's done, but that's pretty much the steps. All right, we got the fourth. I love this packaging. So these are a, you know, a treated long-lasting string. There's a few brands out there that are doing it. And again, I like that it's treated, not coated. And I have, this isn't the first set I've installed. I installed a set on the Iomi copy, and I did that back in like late February, early March. And they're still, you know, doing pretty well. And what I'm trying to do is, I don't want to wear them out. I really want to just see with my basement, which is fairly moist, right? We're in a relatively moist environment compared to the rest of the house. I want to see how they do for oxidation. I've already played them a couple of times. I've got some, you know, oils from my hands on there, and they've been sitting and festering, and every maybe, you know, 4 to 6 weeks I pick it up and I just strum it a little bit and play it, and my test is going to go until like right before NAMM of next year. We'll let it go a year, and then we'll just see what happened. See how long they last, see if they still sound good. And most strings sort of wear out just physically after like 3 or 4 months. Sooner if you're really playing hard and playing a lot. Untreated strings seem to go, God, a week, 2 weeks. Brutal. They wear out so fast. So I think that's where the treated sort of saves you money. There we go, ball end. Cut that off. This goes in. So on this guitar, they had it listed for $299, and I called them up, confirmed, got visual confirmation that it was indeed an RG760, and so I was like, you know, what's the best deal you can do on that? And he's like, oh, it's been around a little bit. So he knocked off another, I think, 20 bucks. I think actually 25. He went to $274.95. And I was all over it. And, you know, it was listed, it said it came with a case. So I was like, cool, and it comes with a case, right? He's like, no case. Like, it says it comes with a case. He's like, yeah, I don't care what it says. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't have a case. I was like, well, without a discount, would it be coming with a case? He says, no, I really don't have a case for it. He said, so I can definitely do it for the $274.95. And he goes, I don't have a case. So I was like, all right, I'll still take it. So he does it, and I took a screenshot. I said, ship it to Natick. He said, all right, which is my closest store, about a 30-minute drive, and maybe 25 minutes. And it showed up there. I took a screenshot that showed this item comes with case or bag, and then underneath it said this item comes with case, right? So a lot of times it'll say like two different spots. This item comes with case or bag, and then below that it'll say this item comes with a bag. This item comes with original hard shell case. You know, a little bit more detail. So it shows up there. We pull it out, and of course I just play dumb. I'm like, oh, I thought this was supposed to come with a case. He's like, no, I don't think it did. I said, oh, I kind of took a screenshot. Check it out. So he was like trying to look. First he tried to look it up, but I said, oh, I have a screenshot. I was showing it to some friends of mine, the guitar I was getting. And it says right here, he says, all right, not a problem. So he went in the back room for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And he came out with a, pretty old, stinky, hard shell case covered in stickers. But it fit the guitar beautifully. And there was no structural problems. It wasn't smashed or anything. The shell was intact. All the clasps worked. I mean, it was pretty good. It just needed to get cleaned. I was like, sure, that's fine. What do I care? And I just wanted something to walk out the door with it, And last string. So he throws it in that. I took it home. I had to Febreze that thing like crazy. That Febreze stuff, man, it really does work, but you can't skimp on it. You got to like unleash like half a bottle on it. But whoever owned it before was a heavy smoker. You could smell the cigarette smoke so bad in it. And that's just the one thing that just doesn't want to come out. I had a couple of cases like that, just heavy smoke. And I'm not a smoker, so I'm like, just not into it. Or at the very least, I can smell it, right? I think smokers don't notice it because they're just used to it. And then I got a lot of the stickers off. The ones that, if they were coming up so dirty that they were going to leave this like big, like, rectangle of glue. I just left them. But I got a lot of the stickers off. Countless bands that I have no idea who they are. Probably some rare stickers for all I know. Not really, though. I mean, besides, they're already used. But yeah, so that was cool. So $279, for a guitar that is made in Japan, has a fairly, I think in 1989 this listed for $899 or $949 by then, probably $899, and then it was $129 for a case, and you had to buy it with the case as a dealer. Dealer didn't have to sell it with the case, but you had to buy a case, and no dealer sold it without the case because they didn't want to get stuck with a room full of cases. So everybody added it in. They used to just put it all together, and it came with the hard shell case. But I think they felt like they wanted to lower the cost of the actual, instrument. Give these a good stretch. All right. And then the next thing I have to do, obviously, is pull that out. All right, that's way up. All right, well, that's pretty good. Now, how's my side socket doing? Not good. Not good. So, you probably can't see this. I'll have to shoot a little, I don't know if this camera can see it right there. Yeah, camera 3. I don't know if camera 3 can notice that, but the licensed Ibanez Edge tremolo, the Floyd Rose licensed Edge, has a wedge shape. The bottom is flat, but the top is at an angle, like a wedge. Because of that, sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh, well, is this right? Is that right? But the bottom is right. That to help it, especially if you can't see the bottom, you can see where the steel plate, there's like a shank in there, right? There's like a steel plate embedded inside this other metal, a hardened steel. That's where the knife fulcrum is. It goes across the whole thing. That is really your guide. Use that rectangle that's on the side of the bridge. I can see that this is too much, so I'll turn it over and see if I can get a couple of turns on the claw. The claw. There we go. You don't want to go too much too quickly, because if you do, you're going to be like, oh, that's too much. Better to... See, now I'm slightly sharp. All right, yeah, I think that's it. All done. Now, what I was able to do was correct the bridge tilting a little too far forward by tightening down the claw on the back. So this is your resistance on the back. If the bridge is too far forward, like when you get it up to pitch, the bridge is all tilted up, you tighten these back and it will pull it back down again. Do it incrementally. Do not go crazy. Certainly, like if you tightened it until it went back flat again, as soon as you got the strings back to pitch, it would be sunk way back down, right? So you don't want it sinking down, you don't want it up, you want it level. And baby steps on that, I think make a big difference. And that's it. All right, dudes. Well, thanks for stopping by. And if you're interested, you can check out some BlackSmith Strings. I'll do a video on the guitar itself, and we'll check it out a little more closely. And you can hear these strings. We can give them a run through. But until next time, as always, rock on.